Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me to discuss how markets traded through the first day post-election is Jeff Kilburg, CEO of KKM Financial. Jeff, welcome to Trade Talks. It's been a long time coming to finally remove this one piece of uncertainty from the equation. At least election day is over. Now we can try and figure some things out from here. In fact, before you and I just signed on, it appears that Michigan is going to Biden as well. So it sounds like we're getting somewhat closer to a result.
I think that's right. We are getting closer. Certainly there's a lot of counting or potential recounting in the state of Georgia, and that's kind of the expectations we had going in the night. However, there was some additional volatility. We saw volatility to the upside. We always talk about volatility here on Trade Talks. Typically that volatility means, to the downside. But volatility also happens the upside. And we saw that today, and it was interesting to see the Nasdaq 100, the tech stocks, the darlings of all the stock sectors that we talk about. They had a big move higher today. It was up over 4% at one point. It's interesting to see that rotation or that unwind of that potential blue wave trade. It's all happening, Joe. So there's so many pieces of the puzzle that we're looking at. But I think you're absolutely right to talk about some type of certainty of this uncertainty, folks, around election day soon.
Yes, I'm looking forward to getting back to boring stuff like fundamentals and earnings and fighting about the Fed and all that kind of good stuff. But it seems as if the market got, here's your cake and eat it too scenario, right? They were looking to remove the uncertainty of the election. Most likely a Biden win. Republicans keep the Senate. So we don't have that reaction where we're going to have too much overregulation, tax hikes, that sort of thing. So it seems like that was the best case scenario at the end of the day.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. So you're spot on to highlight the fact that the Senate remained Republican. So what does that mean for the bigger picture? And I know a lot of the folks and all the pundits don't want to hear this, but that means that whoever ends up being president is not as significant, or doesn't matter to the extent it did if we did see that Senate flip. So here we are now seeing the market really embrace the fact that we're not going to see increase in taxes. We're not going to see an increase in regulation. So a lot of the folks who were really getting into that value trade just the last couple of weeks, anticipating some type of movement or a change in the Senate, here we are now seeing tech sector. So what happened today? We saw financials. We saw some of these sectors, utilities, a lot of the names that we didn't want to own the last couple quarters in our sector rotation really got pounded today. And where did the assets go? They went to the new safe haven, the Nasdaq 100. We've talked a lot here, and as well as on CNBC, the Nasdaq 100 has become a new safe haven trade, and that's where assets flow to today. And I think you'll see some follow through. When the bigger picture, Jill, I think this is really some form of stabilization. And how do we move higher from here? I think we have to have that fiscal stimulus cemented, or some type of tangible component fiscal stimulus, and also vaccines. So this is one shoe dropping, which we're excited about, but we still don't have answers. I don't think we'll have answers. You tell me, you know better, but is it Monday we'll see Pennsylvania? There's some of these states that still aren't going to be certified. So there's going to be a lot of volatility and some unexpected volatility probably the next couple trading sessions.
Right. And going back to vaccines for a moment, I would argue part of the tech trade, if we peel away the layers that we saw, to all we've been focused on is the election, obsessively focused on it. But at the end of the day, we're continuing to see a massive rise in cases. Hospitals are starting to get overwhelmed. Even if we were to get a vaccine or a therapeutic, that has to be available at mass scale. I mean, we don't know what that manufacturing logistics is going to look like yet. So I wonder if, I don't know if you want to call it the stay-at-home trade or the work from anywhere trade, coming back into play, because that's still under the surface and it's not going anywhere yet.
You bring up a great point, and I know Pfizer does have 100 million potential vials at the ready when they do get that actual recipe of that vaccine. So that's only 1/3 of the population. So you bring up a great point. But I do think this conversation of this essential trade, the cyclical trade, the epicenter stocks coming back in vogue, walking away a little bit from the tech sector. Now today, of course, they really focused on Facebook and all the different tech sectors, the darling, the FANG stocks we talk about. But I do think you will see continued diversification going to the end of the year. But a lot of advisors that we work with in family offices, we're really anticipating a change in tax code. That's at the heart of the conversation we've had for last month. That's not happening anymore. So maybe they got out in front of it and they sold it, or they don't have to sell anymore. And that was the draft up. And if you think about where the market moved, let's look at the S&P 500, Jill. Since last Friday, it was trading around 3,200. It nearly kissed 3,500 today. That's an 8% move in 3 trading sessions. So that type of volatility is nowhere near the volatility we saw in the month of March. But this is volatility, unexpected volatility. And I think it's healthy in the bigger picture as the market will continue to consolidate inside of this range. But to your point, that vaccine, that's the catalyst that gets us out of this range. That's the catalyst that tests new all-time highs. I don't think we see that before January.
All right, Jeff, thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I know it's been a long evening, early morning and afternoon for you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jill.
You got it. And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.